expired, and with that, I recognize the ranking member from Louisiana, Mr. Carter.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Wadu, contrary to the often crude and dangerous rhetoric that some in the Republican conference push related to immigrants and the current global migration challenges, surges in migration are not a new phenomenon. We can look back to multiple points in history and see large surges in migration. We can go back to the early 1900s and look at Ellis Island in New York to understand the migration challenges are nothing new. They continue to be exasperated, but they aren't new. Can you put the current migration challenges in context, particularly as it relates to New York's history of migration?
Absolutely, and thank you for that question, Ranking Member Carter. New York is no stranger to immigrants. We have the Statue of Liberty in our harbor. Ellis Island has been a welcoming beacon and processing center up until it was decommissioned. We don't have to go too far back in history. We'll start at 1907, where Ellis Island saw the largest increase in people arriving to New York, with that year seeing 1.2 million people arriving to the New York shores. On April 17th of 1907, it saw the largest arrival date of individuals being processed and registered, with 11,747 people arriving that day. Let's not go that far back. Even in New York's past history in the late 90s to early 2000s, we were seeing over 100,000 people arriving to New York City as well. What's unique about this moment is that approximately half the population that is arriving to New York has no familial community or friend connection, where historically people would have been able to crash on with family or friends, have not been able to do that. Where now they are needing shelter support in this moment. I think another piece here is that we are constantly talking about this moment as a crisis, and it is a moment of challenge, where we see the crisis is in inaction in providing real solutions that are going to change the conditions, the material conditions on the ground across the country, that are going to support people who are seeking their right, their U.S. legal right to seek asylum in the United States. People who are coming here seeking asylum have the right to do so. And by presenting themselves at the southern border or to immigration officials at the border, they are, in fact, seeking their legal right to seek asylum in the United States. And that's step one of the process.
Thank you. Mr. Wado, the Biden administration and Secretary Mayorkas are working together to create an orderly process at the border. There are challenges. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. It's not as easy as it appears. There's a lot of moving parts. Unfortunately, some would rather make this a political tug of war than to find real solutions. Still, some of my Republican friends are hell-bent on pursuing chaos by not passing comprehensive border bipartisan immigration reform. What legislation is needed, in your opinion, and what recommendations do you have to address the current migrant challenge?
First and foremost, we need to actually tackle and finally reform our immigration system. That has been something that has not happened since 1987, as I mentioned earlier, then under President Ronald Reagan, where about 3 million people were provided a pathway to legalization and some of the system and infrastructure was put in. Every single aspect since then has been limiting or constricting immigration policies. We need to actually move very quickly in this moment to put better systems in place, open up at the southern border more regional processing centers, making sure that we're implementing better solutions that are providing supports to communities that are receiving individuals who are coming in seeking asylum or others, and creating multiple pathways for people to come into the U.S. Kudos to the Biden administration for expanding parole and allowing those from Venezuela, Haiti, Cuba, and Nicaragua to apply for the similar program that we created for the Uniting for Ukraine, where we allowed Ukrainians to come into the country, and about Several 100,000 have already done so. We need more policies that are going to, A, help the system be more equitable, more fair, and operate smoother. At the same time, we need to move forward in processing applications through USCIS and expediting that process and modernizing our systems.
Thank you. My time is up, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Ranking Member. I now recognize fellow Long Islander, fellow New Yorker, Mr. Lalota.
Thank you to my good friend from Long Island, Chairman D'Esposito, for hosting today's hearing, and to our witnesses, all four from New York, for being here today.